how many terrorists did you mention are believed to have crossed the border?
Well, the number I shared on Chad's show, the 1,500, that's not international terrorists. That 1,500 is just the assessment of terrorists I believe have come from Afghanistan.
Oh my
So
goodness.
the number of terrorists could be much larger than that.
Tell people that are not familiar with this Haqqani month, well, what it is and why.
Basically, we're taunting the Haqqanis, trying to elicit a reaction from them. We want them to know that we do know that they're terrorists and that something will be done about it.
Yeah, and it came about because we've been told numerous times now from friends of ours that different Republican members of Congress have reached out to them and said, tone down your rhetoric on the Haqqanis, tone down your rhetoric on the Taliban. And by the time it came to us again, and it was a congressman who's very publicly anti-Taliban resistance, we're like, screw this. We're just going to start leaking the information we have on the Haqqanis. And so we've been doing it now for 2 weeks. And as you saw yesterday, we leaked the biggest piece, the fact that they jointly planned the Abbey Gate attacks with ISIS.
We won't name names right now, but this does come from veterans of the GWAT as well, which is very painful to hear someone who's been in our shoes and say, hey, tone this down.
Yeah. And
so in typical fashion, we're like, well, we'll just amplify it louder.
And sadly, it's even, when a war was going on, a lot of money was going to Afghanistan, and people didn't really keep their morals about them. But there's still a lot of money going to Afghanistan, right? And people are still benefiting from it. And as long as we don't follow the money and we allow things like corruption, we're going to have, people that you think are doing the right thing, and they're not. They're doing the right things for themselves and their pocketbooks. And funding terrorism is actually financially benefit a lot of times to people.
Who is Haqqani to Afghanistan?
So basically, the father, Jalaluddin Haqqani, was one of the original Mujahideen leaders. That's one of the people the U.S. backed, right, in the war against the Soviet Union. Even the family's bunker in Pakistan we built, right? So that's kind of where we got introduced to the Haqqanis. And then, of course, when we went in after 9/11, the Haqqanis, were no longer allied with the United States, and the Haqqanis basically became the major targeting and then suicide branch of the Taliban that would attack U.S. Forces. So Jalaluddin's passed now, but his son ended up taking over the organization, which we call the Haqqani Network, Sarah Adams Haqqani. And Sarah Adams alone sent 1,050 suicide bombers, just him,
Wow.
at U.S. troops over the course, of the GWAs. So he's very dangerous. He's killed probably more American troops than any terrorist on earth, to be honest. Maybe Qasem Soleimani could have beat him, but he's passed now. So Sirajuddin Haqqani essentially is the current Qasem Soleimani. The U.S. government's underestimating him, but he's playing all sides. He works with Al Qaeda, he works with ISIS, he works with Iran. He talks to us, he talks to Russia. So he's playing and China. So he is playing all the great powers and all the terrorist leaders. He's a very dangerous individual.